I did an entryway makeover. Are you ready to see the transformation? Let's get started with this transformation by looking at our entryway wall. I have a large mirror. I absolutely love this mirror. It's 6 feet tall. I've had it for years. And because of the height of the 2-story ceilings in here, I needed something tall and dramatic, and this mirror fits that bill. The second most important piece in the foyer is this foyer table. I have had this table for 17 years. It is the first non-essential piece of furniture that I ever bought, besides the couch and the tables and the beds and stuff like that. This was my first decorative piece that I purchased, and I got it for the low clearance price of only $50. So it has definitely done its duty over the year. I've gotten a lot of good use out of this table. We have put it together, we have taken it apart. It has moved from house to house with us, and it's still standing, but just barely. It's got some nicks and some scratches and some gouges taken out of it. And if you look closely at the feet, they're a little skiwampus. They don't really sit or flat against the floor anymore. So there's a couple of things that need to be addressed when it comes to this foyer table, but luckily we have the skills to do it. So we're gonna get started on that transformation. If you remember, last summer I did an office transformation and I created a desk. On this desk are some legs that are gorgeous. They are scroll detailed, and I painted them in a technique that we're going to be using on this foyer table. But before we get to the paint, we have to disassemble this table. Luckily, I've got the help of my trusty assistant, Twin A. It's his turn this time to help. We made short work of taking apart this foyer table. The reason why I'm completely taking it apart is because when I go to paint each individual piece, I want to make sure that it is thoroughly coated in the paint. I also cleaned each individual piece with some Krudcutter. I scrubbed really hard to remove years of dust and debris, and now it's all prepped for paint. Plus, I'm going to be adding a special element to this table. Do you think you know what it is? I'll give you a couple minutes to think about it. And in the meantime, we're gonna paint the table with a 2-part treatment. I took all of my pieces outside, and the first thing that I'm going to do is spray paint it in some gold spray paint. The paint that I chose was a Krylon metallic gold paint. The reason why I chose this paint is because it is more of a muted gold. It's not a shiny 24 karat gold, it's a muted gold. I purchased 2 cans of this at Michael's. I sprayed each of my pieces in this gold spray paint. I sprayed each coat thoroughly on every single piece. Once my individual pieces were completely covered, I let them dry for 1 hour. Now, because this is a 2-part paint treatment, I'm only doing 1 coat on this initial spray paint. So now that everything is dry, I'm gonna move on to my second part, which is to get some metallic champagne paint that I purchased at Michael's. This is the same paint that I used on the desk legs in my office. I loved it so much because it's a gold, but it's kind of a silvery gold. That way it will coordinate with several different design elements. Whether it's gold or silver, it will go with both. I got a sponge brush and I painted this champagne colored paint over the gold spray paint. I didn't do a heavy coat of paint. I would say it was more of a medium coat. And once I was finished painting the table, I got a clean rag and I gently wiped off the paint. I didn't wipe all of it off. I did leave a fair amount on there. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to be able to see the original gold paint coming through. I wanted both colors. That way there is some variation in the gold tones. This gives your piece more dimension and character. I continued to brush on the champagne gold paint over each individual piece of this table, and then I let it dry overnight. So do you have a guess of the new element that I'm adding to our table? It is some new feet. This little lady was in desperate need of a new pair of shoes, so it's time she got some. I ordered these off of Amazon. They were $30 for the set of 4, and I will link them below. I loved these feet because of the brass metal detail on the bottom, but they were also white, so I could easily paint them in the gold and champagne technique. Another thing is that they are 1.5 inches taller than my original feet. If you notice, between the mirror and the table, there was a pretty big gap, and it had to be that way because there is a light switch. So I could only bring the mirror down so low, and the table only came up so high. So by adding this extra 1.5 inches to my table, it shortens that gap. It also makes the table look a lot more substantial. So I taped off the gold metal on the bottom of these feet, and then I did the same treatment as I did on my table. I first sprayed each piece in the Krylon spray paint. I let it dry for an hour, and then I went back with my champagne metallic paint and a sponge brush, and I added that on gently and then wiped off the excess. As far as a paint treatment goes, this is a really easy one. It didn't take a whole lot of effort or skill to do this, but I love the variations in the gold tones. I think it makes this table really unique and stand out. And I did get some inspiration from some other websites, from some other foyer tables, and oh my goodness, they were so expensive. So I think that my table looks fantastic, especially for the price. I am partnering up today with several very talented YouTube ladies, and guess what? We all live in the great state of Florida. I am co-hosting with a Dollar Tree Mimi's World.
Jackie also has a second channel called Crafting in Mimi's World, where she creates some really cute DIYs.
We are showing you today what we love most about Florida. One thing that I love about Florida is that we have visitors here all the time. I absolutely love it. So having a welcoming entryway is a wonderful way to invite guests into your home. We only live about 15 minutes away from Disney, so we have guests here quite often. I don't know what the other ladies are gonna do, but I know that they're gonna represent their town and the state of Florida fantastically. So make sure that you check out their videos and see what they have made. Now that everything is painted and dry, it's time to reassemble our table. Luckily again, I have my handy helper, Twin A, helping me put this all back together. We made quick work of it, and now we have a brand new table. So what do you think? It's a pretty good transformation, right? Especially considering from where we started out. It was chipped and dinged and pretty busted up. It was definitely in need of some help. It's so much more stable now that we have the new feet on the bottom, and I love that it makes it look a little bit taller too, a little more substantial. The dings have been repainted and the edges look crisp and sharp. And one nice thing about this paint treatment too is that it matches with my mirror above. And because of the lighter color, it lightens up this space. Originally, that darker color made it feel dark in here. Now that it's lighter, it's so much brighter in here, and the space feels a lot more cheerful. Now I did end up spending about $50 between the legs and the paint, which is pretty comical considering I spent $50 on it originally. But by transforming this table, I know that I have extended the life of this table for several more years. So now it's time to style our table. We're gonna do it in an elegant way. I'm going to start off by adding a runner. I like adding runners or tablecloths or some piece of fabric. It softens the display. Next, I'm going to add these 2 marble trays. The first one is a round Lazy Susan. I purchased this at HomeGoods. And the second one is a riser that is from Target. Next, we're gonna add in some tall elements. On this side, I have a gorgeous urn that I purchased again at HomeGoods. And on the second side, do you guys remember this? It was thrifted. And last week we used it as a ginger jar in our Christmas in July display. And this week I just took the lid off and now I'm using it as a vase. I love accessories that do double duty. In the center, I have some beautiful blue and white vases. And inside of all my vases, I'm adding some cream and pastel pink flowers. They are so cheerful and add elegance to the space. My final accessories are a beaded garland. And of course, you always have to have some candles. I added my candles inside of some cut glass candle holders. Candles bring displays alive and add a wonderful glow that you can't get any other way. This foyer makeover was just what this space needed. It is so much lighter and brighter and fresher in here now. The table transformation really elevated the entryway into a welcoming area that any guests visiting Florida would be happy to enter. I hope you enjoyed making over this entryway with me today, and I hope that you got some inspiration to look around your house, find some pieces that you already have, and give them a transformation. It's amazing how a little bit of paint can make your pieces go a little bit further, can update them, can make them look so much more fresh and unique. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for watching.